Hi everybody, Andy here again with our next exciting instalment of Learning Jass. It is an exciting one today actually, believe it or not, because we're now going to pull together some of the stuff that we've been learning so far and put it together into a real game. Whoa. So we've looked at, quick recap, we've looked at top down or bottom up, and then we've looked at trumps. Any of the four trumps. So in total that gives us about 6 options that we can choose from. And we're now going to put that together into a game, as I said right back in episode 1, that we're going to do the option called Coiffeur, the game mode called Coiffeur, and that's how we'll kind of fit this together in that sort of game. There are other options, but we'll maybe do that some other time. So first things first, we've said about four people playing in pairs, 2 playing with 2, and first thing we would say is to choose your partner. Now the way that we do it, and I don't know if this is everybody or if it's just the way that we do it in our family, but they're a really nice family, we are a really nice family, and so I'm going to say that that's the right way to do it, which is we spread the cards out and we choose a card each, player 1, 2, 3, so we all choose a card, and then the 2 highest will play together and the 2 lowest play together. That's a simple, fair way to do it, and random. Sort it out yourselves, it's not a big deal. Okay, so then we're going to shuffle, cut and deal the cards, and we need to decide who's going to call one of those options. So remember, we've got 6 options that we can choose from, 6 different calls, and somebody has to choose what we're going to do, what we're going to play this time. The first round in the game, again the way that I know it in our family, is that whoever has the 10 of diamonds can choose. So if you are lucky enough to have the 10 of diamonds, then that first hand you can choose one of those 6 calls that we've got, being each of the 4 trumps and the top down and the bottom up. It could be that you don't have a very good hand. You look at your cards and you go, no, none of those work for me. You can pass. So assume I'm player 1, I had the 10 of diamonds, I look at my cards and go, nah, nothing in here. I'm going to pass. I pass, goes anti-clockwise. Remember, we're going sick way round. Thanks, Dad. We're going anti-clockwise. Player 2 then looks at their cards, say they can choose to do something or not and pass. If they pass, it goes to player 3. If they pass, it goes to player 4. If they pass, it comes back to player 1, me. I am then have to choose. I have to choose something to play. You don't just keep going round and round and round. We go round once. If it comes back to first player, they have to choose. And they are what's called being in prison, because it's like they're stuck. They have to do it. Or in Swiss speak, it's the Zwinger. They are in Zwinger. And then they have to choose one of the options. That can be good or bad. So it could be you got absolute rubbish cards, you really do no clue what you need to, what you're going to do, and so it's really bad. Can be that you were not quite sure, you had reasonable cards but not brave enough to do it. Then it's a really good excuse, because then if it all goes terribly wrong, you can just say, oh well, I was in prison, and you know, it's good excuse if it goes wrong. So whoever chooses what we're going to play that round, whoever chooses the call, they will lead. So if I'm player 1 and I pass, and player 2 chooses the call, and they will then lead first. Okay, so it's not the player who was the person after the dealer that plays first, it's the person that chooses the call for that round. They will then go first. We'll play that round. So let's say, for example, I'm player 1, and I choose to do spade trumps. I will then play that round, and then we'll add up the points. Remember, it's the points of both of you. We are playing as a team. So it's me as player 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So me and player 3, who is my partner, whatever tricks they've won, go in with whatever tricks I've won, and we add them together, and those are the points that we have won. We will then add those points to the scoreboard, and I'm going to show you now a quick screenshot of the scoreboard. Ching, right there. That is like the draft of a basic scoreboard. You will see that I said there's 6 options. I've added a 7th one on there, which is what again we would normally do, which are the 6 ones that we talked about before, the 4 trumps and the top down and the bottom up. I've added on a joker. You'll see the relevance of that later. The numbers next to that are a multiple, meaning that what we'll do is add up the points that we've scored. We will add those onto this sheet that you can see on screen now, and whatever the difference is between our team and the other team, we'll then multiply it by that multiple column. It'll all make sense, trust me. So that's the blank score sheet. Let's assume I chose spade trumps, as I said. We will then have, as you can see on screen now, let's say that we scored 130 points. Now, the labels at the top, AR, GJ, AR, GJ, what does that mean? Well, AR, I'm going to say, is Andy and Rob. Rob's a friend of ours who we're teaching this to at the moment. Hi, Rob. And so I'm assuming that I'm playing with Rob. GJ, that's Gisela and Joshua, my wife and my son. They're playing together against us. So Rob and I scored 130 points on spade trumps. Spade trumps is number 4 on the list, so it's worth 4 times. So we scored 130. We just add that 130 to the list. We collect all the cards. Whoever was next to the dealer last time, so it's not the person that chose, it's the person that had the first call. They or would have been in the swinger. They are then the next person to shuffle and deal, and play the next round, and then you play and add up the scores, and then play the next round, and so on. So here on screen you can see, let's assume Gisela and Joshua did a bottom up, and 56 points, guys. What are you doing? Anyway, they were in swinger. It wasn't a good hand. And also, I'm recording this and not them, so I can put what I like. It's not very gracious, sorry. Anyway, they scored 56 points. We write it down, as you can see. And then let's move forward a few to another slide here. You can see there's, I think, 3 more now I've added onto that. So we can see the scoreboard starts to fill up, and it starts to create the feeling of what's happening in the game. Until we get to this point here now, where you can see on diamonds, Gisela and Joshua scored 130 points. I've got my little crib sheet over here, sorry. And Andy and Rob, we scored 95. Okay, the difference, 35 points difference. So they beat us by 35 because it's on the 3 times row. 35 times 3 is 105. So they then score 105, and we transfer that over to that right hand side column. Can you see what we're doing? And we keep going, playing another round, filling in the score, and wherever you get the difference in the score, we then multiply it by the multiple, and that's the number of points that you score. And we keep going through that until the score sheet is complete, as you can see an example of there now, with all of the 7 different calls completed and the difference between them added up. The joker, which I mentioned earlier, that means you can do any of the 6 that's above there. So any of the other calls that are listed, the joker means you can do any one of those. And it's times 7, or it's usually the last one that we put on the list. So it's worth the most. So it's usually you'll do that 2 times really that you would do it. One is you've got an absolutely fantastic hand and you're sure you're going to get a really, really, really good score. That means it's going to be times 7 in this case. So it's a good option really to do that as a joker. Or it could be you're desperate and all of the other choices are rubbish and you've done some of the other calls. Remember, you can only do each of the calls once. Once you've done it, you've written your scoring, you can't do it again. So it could be that we've done spades, as I did initially, on the first round, and then a few hands later I have a really good spade hand. I can't do it again, so I can do it as a joker. So it's good there as a backup, or because you've got great cards and you want to make the most points from it. You'll also see on that joker line I've shown that myself and Rob scored 157 points. This is all theory, by the way, it's not a real score. We scored 157 points. That's called a match, and means that if you win all of the tricks, not just scoring all the points, you have to win all the tricks, then you would get 100 points bonus when you're multiplying out. So we scored 157, Gisela Joshua scored 132, the difference is 25, times by 7, look at my notes, 175, plus the 100 bonus would take you to 275. Okay, we do that for all 7 rounds, for all 7 calls. Both teams have to play it, so that's 14 rounds in total. So we're playing 14 hands. We get to the end of it, we add up then the 2 right-hand green columns, and that gives us our final score. Gisela and Joshua scored 186. Andy and Rob scored 811. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's all have a Barbie. Great. So there you go. That is the Coiffeur. The winning team is the ones with the most points. And I think with that, you should have enough to kind of get started and start playing a real game. Next sessions going forward, we'll be looking at some other options. So we've looked at the trumps and the top down, bottom up. We'll be looking at some really interesting, and they, trust me, they really are. There's lots of variety, lots of interesting choices, and it's really the fun part of the game, I would say. If you can take any more fun, then there's more to come, and we can do that there. So yeah, I hope that's made sense so far. If you've learned something from it, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, and share it with your friends. Share it with people. Let's get the word out there and get people playing Jass, because I think it's a brilliant game, and I'd love to go more places and be able to play it with other people. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.